Hello, I'm Father Joe Roesch of the Marian Fathers of the Immaculate Conception. Thank you for joining us as we continue with our year-long journey reading the diary of St. Maria Faustina Kowalska from beginning to end. Today we take up from where we left off, beginning with diary entry number 1189. A sentence from St. Vincent de Paul. The Lord always sets his hand to a task when he removes all human means and orders us to do a thing that exceeds our strength. Jesus. From all my wounds, like from streams, mercy flows for souls, but the wound in my heart is the fountain of unfathomable mercy. From this fountain spring all graces for souls. The flames of compassion burn me. I desire greatly to pour them out upon souls. Speak to the whole world about my mercy. As long as we live, the love of God grows in us. Until we die, we ought to strive for the love of God. I have learned and experienced that souls living in love are distinguished in this, that they are greatly enlightened concerning the things of God, both in their own souls and in the souls of others. And simple souls, without an education, are outstanding for their knowledge. At the 14th station, I get the strange feeling that Jesus is going into the ground. When my soul is in anguish, I think only in this way. Jesus is good and full of mercy, and even if the ground were to give way under my feet, I would not cease to trust in him. Today I have heard these words. My daughter, delight of my heart, it is with pleasure that I look into your soul. I bestow many graces only because of you. I also withhold my punishments only because of you. You restrain me, and I cannot vindicate the claims of my justice. You bind my hands with your love. July 13th, 1937. Today, Jesus has given me light as to how I should behave toward one of the sisters who had asked me about many spiritual matters concerning which she had doubts. But basically, this was not the question. She only wanted to find out my opinion in these matters in order to have something to say about me to the other sisters. Oh, if at least she had repeated the same words that I had spoken to her without distortions and additions. Jesus put me on my guard in respect to her. I resolved to pray for her because only prayer can enlighten that soul. O my Jesus, nothing can lower my ideals, that is, the love which I have for you. Although the path is very thorny, I do not fear to go ahead. Even if a hailstorm of persecutions covers me, even if my friends forsake me, even if all things conspire against me and the horizon grows dark, even if a raging storm breaks out and I feel I am quite alone and must brave it all, still, fully at peace, I will trust in your mercy, O my God, and my hope will not be disappointed. Today, when a certain sister who was on duty approached me in the refectory, the sisters' dining room, where assigned sisters serve at the time of common meals, I experienced severe suffering in the places of the wounds. I was given to know the state of her soul. I prayed much for her. Sudden calming of a storm. There was a terrible storm last night. I bowed my face low to the ground and started to say the litany of the saints. Towards the end of the litany, such drowsiness came over me that I could in no way finish the prayer. Then I got up and said to the Lord, Jesus, calm the storm, for your child is unable to pray any longer, and I am heavy with sleep. After these words, I threw the window wide open, not even securing it with hooks. Sister N, probably Sister Fabiola Pavluk, then said to me, Sister, what are you doing? The wind will surely tear the window loose." I told her to sleep in peace, and at once the storm completely subsided. The next day, the sisters talked about the sudden calming of the storm, not knowing what this meant. I said nothing, but I merely thought within myself, Jesus and little Faustina know what it means. Here, St. Faustina quotes St. Vincent de Paul in reminding us that Jesus will be helping us if he asks us to do something that exceeds our strength. And Jesus tells us that his heart is like a gushing fountain from which his mercy flows. He loves us and is very compassionate. All people, especially sinners, should know this great truth. Faustina tells us that if we have the love of God in our hearts, we will be enlightened about how God is working in our hearts and in the hearts of others. Jesus tells St. Faustina that he grants many graces to others because of her love, her prayers, and her sacrifices. Another sister had asked Faustina some questions about the spiritual life, but her motivation was only to find something to gossip about with the other sisters. Faustina resolved to pray for her. And Faustina offers a prayer to Jesus, promising to follow him and to love him, no matter how difficult the path becomes. And Faustina was enlightened about the state of the soul of another sister that she encountered. Apparently that sister was in great need of prayers. Padre Pio was also given a similar grace to be able to read souls. And then Faustina called on Jesus to calm a storm, like Jesus did in the Gospels. She asked this grace of God because she wanted to pray because she was very sleepy, and God granted her that grace. Her faith was very strong.